Alright, so I've been noticing over the past month or so that the Enneagram test has been really popular here on YouTube. And that's something that I actually know a lot about. Like sophomore year of high school I got really super into it because I think personally that it's the most accurate personality test. In comparison, for example, to Myers-Briggs, I think it's a little bit more accurate and gives more insight into how you actually deal with things and why you deal with things in the way that you do. So I used to be a huge personality test person. I know a lot about these things, and I think the Enneagram is genuinely a great test. I don't know why it didn't really get popular until now, because I've always personally ranked it as the best test to take, but I'm glad it's popular now. I think that's probably mostly due in part to Tessa Violet. I'll link her channel down below. When she went to the UK, I think she kind of spread it around to everybody who was interested, so it's been interesting watching pretty much how everybody talks about their types. But I haven't seen anybody really talk yet about type 4, which is what I am, and what I'm making this video about. I don't know how rare the type is. I think it's supposed to be one of the less popular ones, or maybe that's just what I want to tell myself. And when I talk more about being a type 4, you'll understand why I would prefer it that way, but we'll just get into it. Okay, so I'm a type 4. There are 9 types, and each type corresponds to your basic fear and desire. And the idea is that your fears and your desires are linked, and there are 9 basic fears and desires, and everybody fits into one of those categories. The type 4 fear and desire, according to the Enneagram Institute, is that they have no identity or personal significance, and the desire is to find themselves and their significance / to create an identity. Basically what that means is that 4s revolve around the constant idea that they need to have a specific, unique personality, and their life needs to be somehow unique and 100% true to themselves, and not necessarily what society would want you to do. Which, this whole time I'm talking about this, it'll probably sound like type 4s are really narcissistic, and that they don't have a lot of empathy, which I think in unhealthy cases that can be the case. Personally, I have a lot of empathy, but I can be pretty narcissistic, and I think a lot of that falls into the fact that I'm a type 4. Yeah. The name for the type, all the types have a different name. Type 4 is the individualist, because obviously we're striving to be individuals. Typical personality traits for the type 4 are emotionally honest, creative, personal, moody, and self-conscious. There's a lot of, pretty much anywhere where you look up anything about type 4, there's this idea that 4s need to create to feel okay about things. And that's how we process our emotions, is through creation. And that's how I've always dealt with my emotions. I don't really know if there's any other possible way for me to deal with my emotions. Obviously a lot of people have different ways to cope with their emotions, but for me it's always been, oh cool, so I'm gonna go write this down now. I'm gonna turn this into something else. Or I'm gonna listen to music and put my emotions into a work of art. And that's pretty much just how I deal with things on a day-to-day basis. The first time I read anything up on the Enneagram, I was kind of freaked out because they also go into detail on your childhood and how different types of childhoods then also correspond to the different types. And the big thing for type 4s, they feel like they were alone a lot. Not necessarily that they were abandoned, but that the majority of their childhood was spent in solitude, and that for me is very true. I was an only child. I'm an only child. So I spent literally half my childhood in my room alone. Both my parents work, so I was kind of left to my own devices a lot of the time. And I think the reasoning for type 4s with that sort of childhood is you spent that much time alone, so you didn't really bounce your emotions off of other people. You just had to find other ways to do it, so therefore a lot of us took to creating things to get our emotions out, or to writing, or doing whatever, indulging in making things. And that's why we vent our emotions in that way. Personally, I also think knowing your Enneagram type makes therapy a lot easier, because for me personally, the first time I read up about being a type 4, anything within the Enneagram, it kind of opened my eyes as to a lot of my more unhealthy behaviors and why I do those things. So now going to counseling, I can just easily be hey, I know this is a thing that I do. I know this is why I do it. Let's try to fix that. A lot of the negative things that 4s do tend to revolve around being really self-centered, worrying too much about how you're presenting yourself, or worrying too much about what you're getting done. Because 4s, obviously, like, the idea is that we're unique or whatever. So like type 4s, for example, a lot of our stress revolves around the fact that we're not doing enough, or that we aren't presenting ourselves in the way that we would like to. And a lot of my negative emotions do revolve around those things. So I can easily like tell my counselor, like, this is what's causing my general like stress and anxiety. Like, that's at my core what causes me to feel negative emotions. And we can easily now like pinpoint those things and kind of like go through it and like work through it. So yeah, I think everybody should take the Enneagram test, especially if you're in therapy. It helps a lot with figuring out like the core kind of issues that you have with yourself or with like your life. Also, I want to get into wings a little bit, because a lot of people don't talk about those, but I think they're really important. So each Enneagram type has 2 wings, and it's one of the numbers like situating aside it. So with a 4, you can be a 3-wing or a 5-wing. So a 5-wing, you'd be more intellectual, and you'd focus more of your time on kind of like bettering yourself and bettering your knowledge of the world. And then 3s focus more on success, so you're working more on bettering yourself as far as the things you put out into the world and the things that make you feel or seem more successful in the eyes of others. Yeah, I'm a 3-wing, so a lot of my stress then is also focused on am I successful enough? Am I doing enough to like be successful at this point in my life? Which is really uncomfortable constantly. The 4 and the 3 kind of mix to be like, I need to be unique. I also need to be successful. And that is a lot of stress to put on a person. It's a lot of stress that my brain has put onto me. But it's good that like I know it, you know? Because then I can kind of check myself and be like, hey, you are doing enough. Hey, you're a unique individual. You have a personality and people like you apparently. So there's really nothing to worry about. But because that's like my core stress inducer, it's kind of hard sometimes to like banish that voice, because it's just what's in there all the time. Sorry this became kind of a depressing video, but that's one of the other traits for type 4s. We're kind of depressive. That's just a thing. It was really easy for me to type myself with the Enneagram. There's like literally no other type that I could see myself being, because I've always seen myself as like a creative person and somebody who kind of is like apart from the majority of people, which sounds gross and bad. I'm not like better than anybody, obviously, but sometimes it's hard for me to like have people like get me, I guess. Like now I'm in art school and like a lot of us are type 4s, so it like works. The thing with 4s as well is that I think we kind of gravitate toward each other. I'm really good at typing people on the Enneagram because, like I said, like I've been studying this for like 3 years. I think about it semi-frequently. If somebody like exemplifies like a certain like trait that one of the types is like really known for, I'm like, oh yeah, you're a type 8 or you're a type 7. I'm really good at finding other type 4s. My best friend is a 4 as well. I think people of this personality type tend to gravitate toward other 4s simply because we see 4s as being unique in some way. So then you kind of gravitate toward and romanticize other 4s and other people that are a lot like you. Hopefully that like explained the Enneagram in any sort of way. I know a lot about it, so sometimes it gets like jumbled in my head a little bit. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's personally helped me a lot with like self-improvement and like bettering myself. Cause like once I was able to pinpoint the fact that I like was separating myself from others based on like the idea that I had to be unique or some shit, like it was easier for me to like fix myself and be like, hey, other people are cool too. You don't have to like be an asshole all the time. Yeah, so at 15-year-old me, thanks for finding this test and like going out of your way to actually fix yourself. I'm really glad it's becoming popular because for me personally, it's definitely helped a lot. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm a type 4. If you're also a type 4, say hi down in the comments, I guess. If you haven't taken the test, I'll link the test down below. It takes like less than 10 minutes to take. It's like really easy. And yeah, that's all I have to say today. Take the Enneagram test. Better yourself. It'll be good for your mental health, I promise. Alright, see you next Friday. Bye.